The Total Screen proudly presents their official podcast, On Screen, with your hosts, Tyson Gifford and William Rohrig. Hello, everybody, and welcome to On Screen, the official podcast of The Total Screen. My name is Tyson.
My name is Will.
And today we are going to be talking about something that we didn't have yet as a topic on last week's podcast. We said we didn't have a topic yet, but now we do. We're going to be talking about the Marvels because that just hit Disney Plus this last week. That is going to be our main topic in our full spoilers discussion. Before that, we have an On the Horizon segment. We have an On Beat segment with a few trailers, but mostly we have a really big casting story to go over in our news segment. And as I mentioned, we're going to close out with the Marvels and full spoilers. But let's get started with On the Horizon.
On the horizon. On the horizon.
On the Horizon is where we talk about what's coming up in the next week or so. And we're going to start things off with The Simpsons, which is returning on Sunday, February 18th on Fox for its 398th season.
Mm-hmm.
At least it feels like that.
It's the show that never ends. It just goes on and on, my friend.
Yeah, I've said it before and I'll say it again. The Simpsons has been bad for like 5 times as long as it was good.
I mean, I'm going to be fair. I haven't watched The Simpsons in a long time. So, I mean, I feel like bad. It did go bad when I stopped watching it, but I have no idea if it improved in the time since.
I've tuned back in here and there, not in a while. It's been probably about 5 years, but I was tuning back in here and there. Like I think about 5 years ago, I watched all of the Treehouse of Horrors, for example, including the newer ones at that point. And I've caught a few random episodes here and there. Even when it's like, when you get a better modern episode, it's still not that good.
I will say though, The Simpsons is still like one of the best all-time animated comedies, just for its 90s like output. Like,
yeah, if you ignore if you don't like go by averages and just look at the peak, then yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Also on Sunday, February 18th, Last Week Tonight is returning on HBO and Max. And then on Wednesday, February 21st, Constellation comes to Apple TV+. We talked about the trailer for this, I believe. I know we talked about it. I don't know if we talked about it on the podcast or not, but it's a new space series about a woman who goes into space and things are like kind of weird when she gets back.
Oh yeah, we talked about this trailer on the podcast.
Yeah, Jonathan Banks is in it.
Yeah.
Then also on Wednesday, February 21st, Star Wars The Bad Batch returns on Disney+. And then lastly, on Thursday, February 22nd, Avatar The Last Airbender comes to Netflix. This is the live action version. And that is On the Horizon. That's what's coming up in the next week or so. Now we're going to move on to On Beats. On Beat. On Beat is our news segment, and we're going to start things off with the big story this week. And it just happened today. We're recording this on Valentine's Day. And
Marvel
as a special Valentine's Day gift, Marvel dropped the exciting bomb. They announced the casting, the slightly modified title, and the release date for the Fantastic Four.
Yes.
So before, I guess it was just being listed as Fantastic Four, and so they added the to the title for the official now.
Makes sense to add the.
Yeah. And they announced, before we get into the casting, they announced that it's going to be coming out on July 25th, 2025. This was the release date for the Thunderbolts, but the Thunderbolts has now moved to May 5th, 2025. Also in 2025, Captain America Brave and the Bold and Blade are both coming out that year as well, and they're keeping the original dates, February 14th and November 7th, respectively.
Yeah, so it's going to be a busy year for Marvel Studios next year.
But let's talk about the casting.
Yes.
So first up is the one that's been rumored for a while, which is...
Well, these all have been rumored for a while, actually. The rumors were true.
Some of the rumors. There have been a lot of rumors.
But the rumors specifically, like, because the person who leaked Mr. Fantastic, they leaked the whole cast. And yeah, it was correct.
But that is, Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic, is being played by Pedro Pascal, who's like the hottest actor around for a while now, I think.
He's now like one of the most in-demand actors in Hollywood.
Yep. Sue Storm / The Invisible Woman is being played by Vanessa Kirby, who just had kind of a breakout role in Napoleon, the new Ridley Scott movie.
Yes.
Johnny Storm / The Human Torch is being played by Joseph Quinn. Munson, right?
Eddie Munson, yeah.
Something in my head is trying to say Munster.
Not Eddie Munster. Not the werewolf boy.
Eddie Munson from Stranger Things.
Yes.
He's going to play in The Human Torch. I'm excited about that because I love Stranger Things, and I particularly love the character of Eddie Munson as a metalhead. I felt seen.
Joseph Quinn was fantastic in that. Like, literally the only thing I ever see Joseph Quinn in, and he was so good in that this alone gives me confidence.
He had a tiny role in Game of Thrones. Remember the scene in the last season when Arya came back to Winterfell and there were like 2 guards that were giving her a bad time and didn't believe she was Arya? He was one of those guards.
Okay. I'm surprised you remembered that without having to look it up.
I've just seen it since. I've seen clips of it since. When everybody was talking about Joseph Quinn because of Stranger Things, people were posting that clip from Game of Thrones.
Oh, that's hilarious.
And then Ben Grimm, the Thing, is being played by Evan Moss Bachrach. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name correctly.
We'll roll with that.
He's from The Bear, which is a FX series that's a Hulu series that's like really popular.
Getting acclaim.
Yeah, I heard getting a lot of acclaim.
Good. Heard good things.
He's one of the top supporting actors in The Bear. He's not the lead, but one of the top supporters.
Yeah.
It's a lot of people that are just newly in demand, I guess. I mean, Vanessa Kirby's still not really super in demand, but she did have a pretty strong role in Napoleon, which was new.
Pedro Pascal is like a big name.
Yeah, he's huge right now. Joseph Quinn blew up huge with Stranger Things.
It really looks like this is a cast that's full of like very talented up-and-comers, but it really does feel like Pedro Pascal is, like, for his talent, obviously, but also because the studio does want a name on the poster to sell the film. And right now, like, he's been so prolific, so big name, like, he's the biggest name in this cast so far.
Yeah. We need a big name for Doom, I think. If Doom is in the Fantastic Four movie, which he should be, then we need a big name for Doom as well.
I just hope, I'm just gonna say right there, Wild, like, I hope Doom is part of it. I hope he's not, like, the main villain. I hope they keep him in the wings.
Doom should be built too. He's like an Avenger level threat.
Exactly. He should be built up. He should be, like.
I still think they should probably show Doom before Fantastic Four.
They probably should. It's looking increasingly likely they won't. But
well, we're talking about a trailer that I know some people have been speculating that he might show up in a movie that we're going to talk about a trailer for later.
Oh yeah, I don't think so. I think they're wrong.
It's a big rumor because it's kind of everyone's throwing every name at the wall and seeing what sticks with that movie in particular about who's going to show up in it. But
I think people have like way too high expectations for that. But yeah.
The other thing to point out about this adaptation, I don't know how much of this information is new, but we didn't cover it when it came out, so it's new to us, I guess.
From the poster, it's very clearly set in the 60s.
Okay, but I was gonna say this is being directed now by Matt Shakman. What's his name from Spider-Man dropped out. We knew about that.
Yes.
Matt Shakman was an episode director for WandaVision.
Yes.
And the screenplay.
I feel like we knew this already.
But we didn't talk about it on our show, so.
Oh, okay, right.
The screenplay was originally done by Jeff Kaplan and Ian Springer, who are two kind of up-and-comers. They don't really have anything huge out right now, but they have Disaster Wedding, which is supposed to be a big movie, and they're kind of like up-and-coming writers. But the name that popped out to me, who is the person who ended up, I guess, rewriting the script in its current iteration, is Josh Friedman. And I know him as a showrunner. He ran the Sarah Connor Chronicles TV series, the Terminator TV series.
The best thing Terminator post T2 ever.
Oh, yeah. 100% agree. Very good, and that name instantly gave me a lot of hope for this movie.
Yeah, I mean, because, like, Matt Shakman, like, fantastic director. This has got a fantastic cast. This is going to live or die based off of the screenplay. If the story isn't solid, it's going to drown regardless of talent in front of and behind the camera.
Josh Friedman's great, so yeah, I'm hopeful.
Yeah, so I'm hopeful. Yeah, I'm optimistic about this. I'm very optimistic.
Time to turn it around, Marvel.
Yeah, time to turn. Yeah, exactly.
And that's it for the casting news story. And now we have some trailers to go over. Just 3 this week. We had a bigger list. We narrowed it down to 3. We're going to start things off with Knuckles, the Sonic spin-off TV series with Idris Elba's character of Knuckles, focusing on him. I think the thing to pay attention to in this trailer is that the production value is through the roof. You mentioned it's just a 6-episode limited series, but it's a Paramount Plus series, which hasn't...
Right.
They've been kind of on the cheaper end.
It looks like it's got the same production value as the films. It looks exactly like the films.
Yes.
This does not, at least our trailers does not look like a cheaper version of the films where they're, trying to cut corners because it's a TV show.
The biggest cut corner is no Jim Carrey. But instead we're getting the Hound.
Yeah, we're getting exactly.
We're getting the Hound, and he wants all the chicken.
He wants Knuckles' power.
Yes, and he's going to get that by getting all the chicken from the pub.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Instead of fuck the king, it's fuck Knuckles.
Also, I can't remember the name of the lead actor who's in it, the human foil in this, but
I don't know.
I've seen him in a bunch of stuff. He was on a show on Fox that I really liked. It was about this guy that was time traveling to the Revolutionary War days.
Oh, I remember that.
It was very short lived, but it was it was very absurd and funny.
I'm gonna say,
everybody in the past was obsessed with ham. You took a ham, a ham bone and dropped it in front of them, and they'd go after it like ravenous animals.
Yeah, I'm gonna say about this trailer, it's easy to be cynical these days. It's easy to be down. This looks fantastic. The production values look spot on. This looks like a lot of fun. The jokes really landed in this trailer for me.
Have you watched the Sonic movies?
And I have not.
I have not either, but this made me want to watch the Sonic movies.
Yeah, I think I'm going to get on that.
Yeah, it looks good. It looks good. The production values look good. And I mean, honestly, 2 Sonic movies have come out that both got good reception and that both looked pretty good. And neither of them interested me enough to watch them. And watching the trailer for the Knuckles series has made me want to watch those movies.
Well, there you go.
So that's what it says for me. Next up, we got a trailer during the Super Bowl for Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, the newest one from the director of Legend of Zelda.
Yes, the upcoming Legend of Zelda film, which hopefully is good. But I mean, this looks good already. I'm sold on it. You haven't watched any of the reboot Planet of the Apes films, so you haven't watched the predecessors to this film. So
I have not.
As somebody who has, because I've watched all of them to this point. So somebody who is not familiar with this particular series of films, what did you think?
Here's what I'll say. The one thing that always blew me away with the modern Planet of the Apes movies is just the detail of face animation and stuff for the apes is astounding. It's so good, the way they emote and stuff. It looks so incredible. I think all of that always impressed me when I would watch trailers and stuff for the Planet of the Apes movies. Plot-wise, I was never too terribly interested. This one is more up my alley. I really like stories about things like slavery where you see it from this interesting perspective of us as humans sitting down to watch a movie about a world run by apes and then seeing humans as slaves and being treated like livestock or slaves is the kind of thing I love stuff like that. I've read books, fantasy books that have similar kind of plot lines and things like that to that kind of conceit. And I think that is much more appealing to me than the apes rising up to attack the humans. That was less interesting to me than this is.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, if I'm going to watch this movie, I'm going to watch all of them. I'm not just going to jump in blind on this one, you know?
The world building, the previous movies, kind of explain how they get to this point.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
But I'm just saying that the type of movie this is, which is much closer to the original in the sense that it's humans are slaves and stuff. It's more up my alley, the kind of story that's being told in this movie.
Yeah.
So
I should say
that's definitely
this
more
movie
interesting.
This movie is supposed to take place hundreds of years after the last movie. So it's not a direct sequel, but it does continue on the timeline for the original trilogy.
Well, the humans already look like they're docile and not rebellious, and like they're used to enslavement, which you wouldn't have within the first generation of slavery.
No, yeah, exactly.
So it definitely looks more like the way it was in the first the first original Planet of the Apes movie, where besides the astronaut coming back, all the humans were just slaves that were like they had no idea of freedom, like they didn't understand the concept.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's more appealing to me. Like that is more appealing to me than the original movies were with what they were presenting. So that's what I will say about it. I don't know if I'm going to watch it, but I will say that I'm more interested in this than I was in the previous ones. And still, the facial animation and stuff looks astounding, as always.
Yes, it does. Great work with that.
Last up, we got a little trailer I don't think anybody was really paying attention to. I don't even know why we're talking about it. It's called Deadpool and Wolverine, I guess.
No, that's not correct, because I saw Hugh Jackman tweeted out the actual title of the film. It's actually Wolverine and Asshole.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, and you could check Hugh Jackman's Twitter for that. It's legit.
It's official.
Yeah, it's official.
So what did you think of the Deadpool and Wolverine trailer?
Amazing. Marvel's saved. Marvel's back, baby. It's a Deadpool movie, which I love Deadpool 1. I love Deadpool 2. This is just more Deadpool, and I love it.
The TVA was rumored, but I almost didn't believe it.
Right.
And now seeing it, it's like kind of surprising because it's such a huge part of Marvel TV, and for it to be like the focal point of this movie is kind of like shocking,
Yeah, the TVA comes for Deadpool. And again, like, I love this. This is a trailer. It doesn't tell you, like, the story of what's happening in Deadpool. There's a lot of mystery. Like, why is the TVA interested in Deadpool? Well, I mean, I can guess based off the
end of the second movie?
Yeah, the end of the second movie, yeah. But like, and another thing, like, I really, like, loved is, like, they don't show Wolverine in this. You get,
until the very end. You see him from behind.
Yeah, you don't see him. You don't see Hugh Jackman's face.
You don't see his face, but you see him. Like, because you see his shadow, and then you see his costume.
For 2 seconds.
Yeah.
They don't really show Wolverine in this, like, it's Deadpool and Wolverine, but, like, there's a lot less emphasis on that. And like, that's a huge chunk of the movie that they are not telling you about. So, like, okay, like, they are keeping a lot of stuff under wraps for this and only giving you, like, the bare minimum, which I like, because that's a proper teaser.
There were 3 things I think that I really latched onto in this trailer. The first is that, and I saw some people saying, like, the trailer's kind of tame or something. And I'm like, there's a pegging joke within, like, the first 10 seconds of the trailer. And they're like, yeah, but that's pretty tame. And I'm like, it's a trailer.
It's a trailer. Yeah, it's a trailer.
Were you expecting them to show pegging?
Right.
Like it's a trailer, and they mention pegging in the first, like that's...
He was like, pegging isn't new to me, friendo, but it is to Disney.
Yeah, that's the first thing that I think is, like, that caught my attention. I'm like, okay, so they are going hard R.
Yes, they are. They're going there.
Definitely. The second thing that really caught my attention, and it's before that scene in the trailer, is the wig.
Yeah.
I love the touch of him just wearing a wig like he's normal now.
Like the corniest
he's just getting by and he's normal, and he's just wearing this corny ass wig. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's such a good touch.
That is a fantastic touch. I love it.
That's the kind of thing that, like, that was in the first 2 those kind of things were in the first 2 Deadpool movies, but they were kind of, like, underscored by all the kind of other crazy stuff that was happening, or, like, kind of, under noticed because of that. But I love how on display the ridiculous wig is, and how that plays into it at the beginning of the trailer. I think that adds a lot to the kind of, like, the
also
nonsense humor that the Deadpool movies have.
Another thing that was pointed out besides the Easter eggs was, like, at the beginning scene when, like, they're having, like, the party for Deadpool, like, the X-Force members are there. So, like, he went back in time and saved them.
Were they all there? I noticed that one guy with the mustache.
Yeah, he was there.
We saw him already save him. And I know we saw the guy that, one of the guys from the bar from the first Deadpool movie, like that biker looking guy. He was, like, one of the people that hangs out at that bar. I recognized him. And of course, his love interest is there, and she was saved and back, Vanessa.
Yeah.
But I didn't notice other members of X-Force.
I'd have to rewatch it.
Dohiner was there. from the first two movies, of course.
Yeah.
I think one person we're not going to be seeing is, what's his name?
No, we're never seeing him again.
Yeah,
No.
he's canceled.
He's done.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the actor's canceled. We're not seeing him anymore, but he was probably the most notable absence, you know? And
Yeah.
I'm also a little surprised we didn't see Cable.
I am
'cause
too.
He kind of like stuck around, I guess. I don't know, maybe.
But no, Josh, Cable's probably a very busy guy.
Yeah.
He's probably
Josh
too
Brolin.
busy for birthday parties.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they probably didn't have a big enough of a role for him to make it worth his while.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this guy like money, you know?
I bet they'll reference him. And they didn't have
Yeah.
the kid either. Like, I thought the kid might be there, but I didn't see him either.
Yeah, he wasn't there either. But yeah.
And then the last thing that I'll latch on to is, did you notice that when he's tearing shit up in the kind of post-apocalyptic looking landscape, that there's literally a 20th Century Fox logo destroyed on the ground?
We saw that. We saw that in the leaked set pics. as
Yeah,
well.
I love that that's just
Yeah.
in the movie. It's just there,
Yeah.
you know?
Oh yeah, I love it too. And in the shot where he's lying down, like, you know, before like Wolverine pops his claws and like, you know, goes in, there's like a Secret Wars comic book on the ground next to Deadpool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think this is drawing heavily from the Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe series of comics.
You know what? Probably is, yeah.
And it's basically going to be about him cleaning up the multiverses. Marvel has everything now.
Yes.
It's like him killing the Fox universe, pretty much. I think that's hilarious. I really like how meta that is as an idea.
It explained like the TVA, the idea that the Fox, like Marvel universe is like a branch. It needs to be pruned.
Yeah.
And they're going to have like Deadpool help prune it.
I think that's hilarious. I love how meta that is. That fits perfectly.
Yeah, that does fit perfectly, yeah.
This is the only Marvel movie we're getting this year.
Yeah.
But, you know, hey, if you're gonna have only one Marvel movie, at least it's not Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania.
If you're going to have one Marvel movie this year, make it be about Marvel Jesus.
Yeah. You're gonna only have one. You're gonna want something like Deadpool or Guardians of the Galaxy, you know? You're gonna want a heavy hitter.
Yeah, exactly. I think this is going to be fantastic. I'm very much looking forward to this.
All right, that's it for our trailers. The last thing we have for our news segment is a sad story, and that is that Yoshitaka Murayama, who is the creator of the Suikoden series of games, has passed away. He still has the Eiyuden Chronciles 100 Heroes game coming up that was in Kickstarter, a Kickstarter game. That's kind of like a spiritual successor to the old Suikoden games. Yeah, Suikoden was a really cool series for me. Like, I always tell people about how I got into like PlayStation consoles was always funny for me because the first PlayStation I got because of Final Fantasy VII, but I ended up hating Final Fantasy VII. And the game that I ended up getting for the original PlayStation that made Final Fantasy sucking okay was Suikoden. It was the two Suikoden games. Because those games were so good, I didn't care that Final Fantasy VII sucked, for me at least. And then when I got into the PlayStation 2, I bought that for Suikoden 3 because I was so into Suikoden at that point. I thought Suikoden 3 sucked. I don't think Murayama was involved in the franchise at that point. That was when it went kind of 3D and I was not into it. But I found other games on the PS2 that kind of did what Suikoden did for me with the PS1. It made it okay. And I really enjoyed the first two Suikoden games, and I've been looking forward to Eiyuden Chronicles for a while now.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you have it kickstarted. You already paid for it on Kickstarter.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to Eiyuden Chronicles. It looks fantastic. Just a huge shame. Just awful news.
Yeah.
It's a shame that he's not going to be there to see the launch of his new game.
Yeah, because this is an opportunity for him to kind of get more of his vision with less like Konami interference and kind of being able to kind of show what he really wanted to make as with the Suikoden series, you know, that he wasn't able to. And then to pass away before that comes out that's just sucks.
But thankfully he has a solid team seeing this through.
Yeah.
And so, and the solace is, you know, like, hopefully, like, this is a success and they can make more Eiyuden Chronicles, and his work will live on.
I hope Eiyuden Chronicles is a really big success and that it draws a bit more attention to the Suikoden series as well. The Suikoden games, they either already did or they're having a remaster collection for the first two games, I think. So hopefully it drives some more attention to that too and more people can play some of his games. But that's it. We just wanted to touch on that lightly. R.I.P. to Yoshitaka Murayama. And that is it for our news segment, and that leaves only full spoilers. This week on Full Spoilers, we are talking about the Marvels. This is basically Captain Marvel Part 2, but it's the Marvels because there's 3 of them.
Yes.
This is one of the worst reviewed MCU movies. Movies that got a lot of negative attention. A lot of people were kind of down on this. A lot of people have been down on, the Captain Marvel stuff since Brie Larson because there's a lot of kind of toxic shit going on in the fandom. But I didn't think it was that bad. I thought it was a lot better than Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, which I'm shitting on all over the place in this episode, I guess.
I thought it was a solid movie. Yeah, it's much better than Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Like, that movie is a mess, comparatively. At least, this movie knows what it wants to do and does it well. Yeah,
I thought it was, in general, it was a fun movie. I think that it wasn't... I'm never going to look back at my favorite Marvel movies and think of the Marvels. It's just not going to happen.
I'm looking at the Rotten Tomatoes right now, and I think it's pretty spot on where it is right now. It's got a 62% fresh from critics and 82% audience score right now on Rotten Tomatoes.
I'm actually surprised it did that well with the audience score with it. I thought it would be review bombed to nothing.
Yeah. They must have cleaned up a bunch of obvious bombs. But yeah, no, I thought it was a solid movie. It's just got some mundane issues where, the plot is thin. It doesn't feel like...
weak.
The villain's weak, thin plot. Doesn't really feel like there's any stakes to anything. The movie moves at, a breakneck pace, which is both,
It's also the shortest
and
MCU
bad
movie.
Yeah, it's, under 2 hours. I was kind of surprised. They weren't trying to go for, a 3-hour movie. It moves at a breakneck pace, which is both to its benefit and detriment, because, there's definitely some stuff that benefits from them not dwelling on it too long, but then there's, some stuff that probably could have been better explained, but we have to, move on to the next scene.
Yeah.
I don't know. For me, the core of this movie is the interaction and interplay of its 3 leads, and it nails that really well. The
action scenes that use the swapping between them are really cool.
Creative. And the dynamic between the leads works great. They all bounce off of each other very well.
Iman steals it as Kamala.
Yes, she's the breakout star of this. I think she has a bright future in the MCU. There's a scene at the end where they tease she's putting together the Young Avengers with Kate Bishop at the end, and I really think, if they keep giving her work in the MCU, I think that would be a smart move.
Yeah, she's great. I think they managed to take the best elements of Ms. Marvel and get rid of everything else.
Yeah,
so we didn't have
writing.
We didn't have anything about the Jinn. We didn't have anything about damage control or whatever. We didn't have any of that. All that shit was out of the way, and what we ended up having was Kamala Khan and her family. And those are the best parts of Ms. Marvel. And that ended up being probably the best parts of this as well. Monica Rambeau was strong again. She was great in WandaVision, strong in this as well. And Brie Larson, continuing her role as Captain Marvel, about what you'd expect,
Yeah, I watched the movie. I came out of it thinking, this didn't deserve to be, the lowest grossing ever Marvel movie.
Yeah, it definitely didn't. It's better than it was recognized for. There are some issues, like you'd mentioned. I think one issue is that, and it probably has to do with the pacing, there's probably some cuts that led to this, but I don't think they really did a good enough job exploring Monica and Carol's relationship.
Right,
and kind of the tension between them. They presented that there was tension between them and then never really went that deep into it. They also had a cameo for Valkyrie, which was a really cool cameo, and then it just faded away instantly.
Yeah, it seemed kind of pointless. They just had to get rid of the scrolls. Yeah, the scroll stuff goes nowhere. They're in peace talks with the Kree and the leader of the Kree, which is this movie's villain. obviously, like, she sets them up and she betrays the Skrulls and she blames it on Captain Marvel and the Skrulls blame it on Captain Marvel. And then she's like, oh, well, I found you a place. And then they're gone and there's zero consequence to, like, that whole sequence whatsoever.
Skrulls haven't had a good run recently.
No.
Between Secret Invasion and their role in this, it's not really been that strong for them.
No, it has not, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Speaking of Secret Invasion, there's like zero references to that in this.
Yeah, and tonally, it's like it never existed. Nick Fury is
Yeah.
a completely different Nick Fury.
Yep, completely different character in this movie than Secret Invasion. There's like no continuity whatsoever between this Nick Fury and the one we just watched.
Just the fact that he's on the
sequence.
space station. That's about it.
Yeah, that's about it. I'm like, oh man. It's like, yeah, that's not good. But I mean, you know, it's fun. It's the breakneck speed that it goes means that like it's a breezy, easy watch. It's something you can just put on and have fun with. It's got
Musical numbers funny.
Yeah, music numbers all right. I thought like it was like very, very on the nose, like a Disney parody.
Yeah, but I think it works.
Yeah.
Well, I can say this. I'm a cat lover, so...
Yeah, lots of cats in this. The cats are so weird. They eat things and then like spit them back up. I don't get it.
The cats are interdimensional storage.
Yeah, oh, that's true. Yeah.
So they were storing people that they used that as a conceit. I loved when they were going through the station and Ms. Marvel's like apologizing to the people as she's feeding them to the cats.
Yes,
She's
I love
like,
that.
I'm sorry. And the cat's like eating everybody and they're using them to...
That scene was like fantastic. That whole sequence. Like everybody like running for their lives from cats. They're like, oh, they have to do it because this is the only way we can transport them off of this crashing space station.
Yeah, that was a fantastic sequence. It was really fun. It made me laugh.
Oh, yeah. It's one of the best sequences in the movie.
Yeah, definitely. I think the cats, besides Kamala Khan, are like the highlight of the movie. I also enjoyed that Kamala Khan's family played a big part in the movie.
Yes, they kept them involved.
Yeah.
They didn't just like make a cameo at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, they were throughout it, which was really good.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. Which was something I wasn't expecting going into this.
I love when her brother's praying, and Nick Fury looks over, are you praying? And he's like, oh, sorry. And he stops. He's like, don't stop.
Yeah, don't start. He's like, don't stop. We need all help we can get.
Yeah, it was funny. I love what they did with that. I mean, there's not too terribly much to say beyond this. There's nothing really mind-blowing.
Yeah, well,
there's nothing that's really major, like, course-changing for the MCU.
No,
here.
there's no. Like, I mean, there's a huge...
Besides the post-credit stuff.
There's a huge X-Men tease at the end.
Yeah.
Which is, like, its whole thing, and I'm gonna be honest, the whole thing, like, Monica Rambeau waking up after she gets trapped behind, I guess, like, the portal, the barrier... They assume she's gone, and then she's just like, now she's in like the X-Men universe.
Is she going to get a lift from Deadpool?
That's the thing, like, I have no clue, like, where they're going with that. Like, it's because, like, it's kind of like, again, like, integrating the X-Men into the MCU is one of the toughest needles that they're going to have to thread. And seeing Kelsey Grammer as Beast again is fun. I mean, it's doubtful Kelsey Grammer is going to be the Beast in the MCU. So I'm just not sure what this is, like, setting up. Like,
yeah, I mean, well, it's the same thing with, like, Wolverine. Like, Hugh Jackman's not going to keep playing Wolverine.
No, Hugh Jackman already, said, like, like, he's doing this for Ryan Reynolds. Hugh Jackman did say in the past, though, that if he could be Wolverine in the Avengers, he would do it. So, like, if they offer him that, like, he will do it again. But
they might, for, like, because the next two Avengers movies are both multiverse Avengers movies.
But yeah, he said that in the past. He said that way back before, like, Disney even ever owned Fox. He said if he could be in an Avengers movie, he would do it. But, like, outside of that, like, he's ready to retire from being the character. He doesn't.
I mean, he has. He's literally retired already, and he's coming out of retirement for this, and he might come out of retirement again because, like you said, he would go back for an Avengers movie, and the next two Avengers movies are multiverse Avengers movies. So there's actually is a chance he'll be in, an Avengers movie, and then they'll do away with him.
Well, he doesn't want to be like the full-time MCU Wolverine. So, So
yeah, I don't think they're going to keep Kelsey Grammer Beast again. I could see him showing up in the Avengers multiverse movies.
It's the same thing like they did with Doctor Strange in Multiverse of Madness. They had Patrick Stewart back as Professor Xavier. It's not like he's coming back full time to be Professor Xavier. So we got Hugh Jackman. Now we got Patrick Stewart. We got Kelsey Grammer. Again, like, yeah, we're teasing the X-Men and these various projects, but I just don't know, like, where they're going with this.
Yeah, it's going to be hard. I think they're going to have to do a major event with the multiverse after Deadpool 3 when they get into Fantastic Four, when they get into, Kang Dynasty or whatever they're going to do with that now, when they get into Secret Wars, when all of that stuff kind of comes to fruition, they're going to have to do like a major shakeup that changes kind of the fabric of the reality of the multiverse in a very permanent way.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking Secret Wars, outside of being the next big Avengers thing, I'm thinking that's like how they solve the issue, how they merge the X-Men into the MCU through whatever happens in Secret Wars. Because it's going to be like, because Secret Wars covers the concept of like universes crashing into each other and kind of like the existential threat of universes colliding and those universes being destroyed. And that happens like on like a whole cosmic universal scale where it's just like all these universes are colliding into each other and getting destroyed. And I know like in the end, in the Marvel comics, like that just like ended up with like just one main Marvel universe with like everything they wanted in it.
Yeah, I think they're going to have to do something along those lines. It's going to be interesting to see how they do that, how well it's received, how well it goes over. It's a kind of like really big comic booky concept.
They called them incursions in the comics. Yeah.
Oh, they called them that in the movies too, in Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah, Multiverse of Madness. Yeah. Yeah, so see, they're already setting it up.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just going to be a matter of seeing how it comes together, and if it comes together in a way that feels earned.
Yeah, because the X-Men, that's going to be the big thing to kind of explain, because Fantastic Four, like, stuff, that doesn't need explanation. It's like, oh yeah, this takes place in the 60s. There were astronauts in the 60s. The thing about X-Men, though, you're going to have like a new class of superpowered beings come into existence, mutants, and their whole thing is people hate them and mistrust them because they are mutants. And the whole thing with them existing side by side with people like Thor and Captain America and Iron Man is kind of people worship the Avengers, but they hate the X-Men because the X-Men are mutants. It's like, how does the average person know who's a mutant and who's not a mutant, who they're supposed to be worshiping and who they're supposed to be hating?
Yeah. It's going to make it a little tricky, and it's going to be interesting to see how they play that out. Yeah, I guess that's it for our discussion of the Marvels. We kind of went off on a tangent there about where the MCU is going to be going with mutants and stuff. They've already been introducing mutants. They already announced that Kamala Khan is a mutant,
Yeah, they already have
Marvel. And they made other references as well to mutants, I believe. So.
I do want to say, though, I do appreciate the great, extreme restraint Marvel held for not doing the X-Men theme song jingle when Beast showed up in this movie. They didn't do it.
They already did it with Multiverse of Madness.
Yep. Then they did it with the Kamala Khan revelation when he mentioned like she had mutant genes. They did, and I'm like, okay, this is getting corny. Like we know X-Men, yes.
I love mutant genes. They're much better than 501s.
Yeah, exactly.
But that is it for our Marvels discussion and our full spoiler segment and our show. Next week, we don't have a topic again. Again, we do not have a topic. The main reason we don't have a topic for next week is because we're holding out hope that there's something specific that's going to happen before next week's podcast.
Yeah, something that
will be our
happens
topic.
Directly next week direct to us.
Yes. Something that happens from ninjas that are 10 and just do it.
Yeah, exactly.
But we're hoping that something ends up happening that we're going to be discussing on our next podcast, and we're kind of leaving room open for that. If it's looking like that's not going to happen, then we'll come up with another topic and discuss that. But for right now, we're just not announcing a topic for next week's podcast. That's just the way it is. You have to deal with it. So thank you everybody for listening. You can follow me on Twitter. I'm at Tyson Gifford. You can follow Will. He is at VoxelHero. You can check out our website, thetotalscreen.com. If you go to our website and open up the container story for any of our podcast episodes, scroll down to the last paragraph. You'll find all of the relevant links to our social accounts and our RSS feed for the podcast. It's all there. You can also subscribe to our podcast through your favorite podcast client of choice, like Apple Podcasts or Pocket Cast, and the entire backlog of our podcast is available on our YouTube channel, as well as other content. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you for listening to the OnScreen podcast, the official podcast of The Total Screen. Visit our website at thetotalscreen.com. This podcast can be found on any major podcast client, including Pocket Cast and Apple Podcast. The entire backlog of this podcast and other content can be found on our YouTube channel.